These
cool.
are kind of funky, so I'm gonna like.
You should wear. Yeah.
Wear.
They look
Okay.
great.
All right, Sherry.
Oh, they're great.
5-second countdown, and then Sherry Nelson is going to lead you in, Kenny. And 3,
I'm terrified.
2, 1.
Welcome everyone to Movie Reviews and More. As you can see, we have a multi-talented drummer in the studio with us today. Kenny Aronoff is a multi-platinum artist with over 1,300 gold records. He has created many of our most favorite beats, most notably with John Cougar Mellencamp, Smashing Pumpkins, Belinda Carlisle, Joe Cocker, and many, many more. The demand for this amazing talented is not limited to albums, though all of you remember the strength of his beats in John Bon Jovi's Blaze of Glory from the movie Young Guns 2. Kenny Aronoff has performed many times at the Grammys and at the Kennedy Center honor ceremonies, but the coronavirus that we're experiencing right now has not nearly slowed this man down. He continues to perform and record in his private studio. He is also a very successful author of his book, Sex, Drums, Rock and Roll, which I'll be gifting to many of my friends that had questions for Kenny today. And he is also a motivational speaker, and he just announced a new contest that many of our guests and viewers will be sure to enter. I'd like to welcome with great honor and pride, Mr. Kenny Aronoff.
Thank you. Very nice introduction. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
One of my favorite drummers.
Thank you. Where are you guys located? I'm here in New York, all over the place.
I'm in Redondo Beach, California.
Oh, hell, you're right down the road from me.
Yeah, I am. So dealing with, well, actually, Redondo is not too bad with ash because I'm by the beach.
Oh, we
but
got it.
It's still icky. It's like, because right down here, it's got, it's kind of the fog mixed in with the ash. So it's just really depressing.
Yeah.
So this whole year has been,
Yeah. It's a fog. We've been in a fog. You know, I'm in Studio City, and I was at my studio. I go to my studio every day. I mean, since the COVID, I just go there. I work nonstop. But I was sitting there going like, God, my chest sort of feels, ugh. And I went, on my Siri, I said, give me the air quality in Studio City. The air quality in Studio City is unhealthy. I'm like, holy shit. Unhealthy? What? I've never lived where it says unhealthy. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's really.
I'm telling you, it's unhealthy here in by the beach too. Doesn't matter because it's just all coming here. So I don't know. 2020 is it's the year. Now I'm just waiting for the UFOs, which I guess people are seeing now. So.
You know what's weird? Not to turn into a more. I'm 100% positive, dude. I was watching BBC. They were showing the globe. It looks like one of those movies. They got like tornadoes and hurricanes all over the globe. It's like, what was that movie? You know, we all tornadoes going through New York City.
In the days.
It was tornado.
Yeah, it was
hurricanes and.
All right. Anyway, regardless of that, you guys, I'm doing great. I'm kicking ass.
That's
Sherry,
awesome.
Sherry, I'm going to have you kick out the first question. Go ahead.
Kenny, I don't know if many people know this, but he has a twin brother. He's a clinical psychologist. And I know that you've got one of the most amazing work ethics out there of continuously trying to improve and do better. Your brother obviously has it too. What inspires you? What makes you want to just keep going and doing more and proceeding the day before? Like it's amazing.
I think the biggest thing is it just makes me feel good. I mean, I think at a very young age, I figured out that, you know, you putting in hard work, then you get these results. The highs that I get from the results keeps me going. Now, I'm also diagnosed as a hyperachiever. From a 1 to 10, I'm a 10. A hyperachiever is somebody who's never stops. Once you achieve something, you're on to the next thing. And a perfect example, and I never knew this until this year that they call it that. Hyperachiever, and also I'm a stickler, which means I'm a stickler of detail. It kind of goes good together. And then you add the third ingredient, which is I'm a pleaser, which I aim to please, which has made me really a great team player, a great session drummer, a great, you know, guy to have in the band, guy to put on the road with the band, because this guy is going to please and adapt. Anyway, the perfect example is when Jack and Diane, the biggest hit single that John Mellencamp ever had, which featured the drums, the big drum fill I had. When that went to number one, I was excited for 2 seconds. And then I immediately went, oh shit, how am I going to do this again? How do I do this again? Well, John hasn't even written the song yet, but I'm already worried about making the next number one hit single. You know what I mean? It was like, I enjoyed it, but I was already concerned. And I think that the combination of that and constantly getting things done and reaching goals, stimulates me, and I get excited. And then just the DNA. I mean, I'm bored. I'm born as a workhorse.
It's really interesting when I was reading about you, how that came about with that drum solo that everybody knows about that you created. Can you tell us about a little bit of the discussion or conversation you and John Cougar had about when he was going to bring in a session drummer for that song?
Oh, okay. Well, it wasn't for that song. I'll back up. I was a little kid. My story is a little kid playing outside. My mom yells at me to come in the house with my twin brother. We think we're in trouble. The Beatles are on TV. I'm flipping out. I'd never seen rock and roll. I asked my mom, who are those guys? She said, they're the Beatles. And I said, well, I want to be in the Beatles. Call them up. And obviously she didn't call them up. I'm 10 years old. I mean, that's what you do. Come on, get me in there. So I started my own band, and there was no school of rock when I was growing up. So, but when it was time to go to college, my parents asked me, what do you want to major in? I said, music. The only thing I could study in college was classical music. Well, after 1 year at University of Massachusetts, I managed to transfer because I was such a workaholic, and it brought my levels up. And we're talking like marimba, vibes, timpani, all orchestral music, no drum set. And I got into the number one school of music for classical music, which is Indiana University. Spent 4 years there. Went to the Aspen School of Music in the summer, which you audition to get into a summer program run by Juilliard. Took 4 years and 4 auditions to get into Tanglewood, which is the number one student orchestra in the country, if not the world, where I worked with Leonard Bernstein, Aaron Copland. And then I graduate out of Indiana University, and I get into the Jerusalem Symphony Orchestra. So what I'm saying at this point is I achieved this massive goal. I went from, not really a good percussionist in 5 years getting into a symphony orchestra. And there aren't that many orchestras in the world. My point is that I turned it down because my brain said you should do that. My heart, thank God I was following my heart, said I still want to be in the Beatles. I still want to make records, tour, be on TV, do that whole thing. And so for 4 years I just struggled trying to make it. There's no like, if you go to law school or med school, you get a degree and most likely you're going to get a job. But in music, there's no rules. It's like whatever, So I moved back to Indiana, started a band, and after 3 years, it didn't happen. Long and short of it, I hear about this guy, Johnny Cougar. He's on MTV. He's making records. He's on tour. He's on the radio. And I went, oh my God, and I heard he was looking for a drummer. I was literally a couple of weeks from moving to New York City. And I auditioned, get the gig. 5 weeks later, I'm in LA making this record. And I'm like ecstatic. I tell everybody, I've done it. I've made it. I've done it. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And in 2 days in the studio, I get fired from making the record.
Oh.
I am devastated. I'm like, not only am I devastated, but triggered all those things you have when you're a child. I suck. I'm no good. I'm overwhelmed. I'm fearful. I'm scared. I'm like, what is going on? I'm embarrassed. And so, by the way, John wasn't the one that was telling me to leave. He's the one that delivered the message. It was the producer. The producer needed to get this album done fast. And back then, there was no Pro Tools. It was tape. So they needed a drummer that had experience. My job as a session drummer, and I'm on 300 million records sold now. My job as a session drummer, and nobody told me this either. I had to figure this out. My job is only one thing. It's not, first of all, it's not about me. It's about we, the team. My job is to get the song on the radio to be a number one hit. That's it. If I do that, then the boss makes money and I get to do it again. It's like if I work for Microsoft. You're supposed to make money for the corporation. But nobody told me that. I had no experience. They wanted to get session drummers. They got session drummers. John tells me to go home, and I went, I ain't going nowhere. Because I was mortified. What am I to go back home and tell everyone, well, it didn't work out? I said, no, I'm not going anywhere. And there was silence, and John goes, I go, well, am I still the drummer in your band? I mean, what's the deal? And he goes, yeah, but you're not making the record. And then I'm scrambling. I'm like, well, I'm going to go to the studio. I'm going to watch those session drummers play, and I'm going to watch them. I'm going to learn, observe, and I'll get better, and I'll benefit from that. And you'll benefit because I'm your drummer. Silence. I'm like, oh, shit. I go, all right, you don't have to pay me, and I'll sleep on the couch. And he went, perfect. So I stayed, and I did learn. It was embarrassing. I asked a lot of questions. It was humbling. And I went back home, and I completely changed my business model. Instead of it was almost like I was looking through a telescope, and seeing all the universe and all the stars and lots of technique. Now, playing with John, I was looking through a microscope, the opposite direction, which is just as big. There's plenty of stuff in a microscope. I had to redirect my entire approach to playing the drums to serve his music, to get songs on the radio to be number one. And that was the beginning of me going, okay, this is my plan. I'm going to be on the next record. 2 years later, let's fast forward. 2 years later, I'm in the studio making this record. It was the hardest record I've ever made. 2 people got fired. I almost got in a fist fight with John. And I walk in the studio one day, and I see the producer with this metal box. And they, Don, what's that? He goes, well, this is the Lin 1 drum machine. A drum machine? He says, yeah, the Bee Gees are using it next door. It's the coolest thing, newest sounds. I says, well, what are you doing with it? He says, well, we're going to use it on that song, Jack and Diane. I'm like, what? I'm getting replaced by a machine?
Oh, wow.
2 years ago, I got replaced by humans. Now, I'm like, I can't get my head around this. And I went, hell with that. I grabbed the machine. There was another example of no. Grabbed the manual, and I start trying to program pretty much what I was playing on the drum set. Goom, ga, goom, ga, doom, ga. But now it's a machine. So the idea is I programmed this thing, and I gave it back to them, and I'm like, I'm in the lounge going, what's happening? Where's my career going? Talk about adapting and adjusting to stay relevant. I mean, I just was happy to be on the album. So all of a sudden, 2 hours later, John goes, hey, Aronoff, get in here. We need a drum thing, a drum solo right here after the second chorus. I'm like, I'm totally excited because, all right, I'm on the record. But I'm also freaking going like, oh, my God. I have to save this song to save my career, basically. That's what I thought. Because I got replaced before. So I'm thinking I'm going to get fired if I don't get this right. So we spent the whole day getting drum sounds, because back then you could be creative and innovative, and you were always searching to blow everybody else out on the radio, do a better job. So we were experimenting with mics and drums, and the whole time I'm thinking, whatever I do, I got to come up with a cool part that's going to explode through the little speakers on car stereos, people's little stereos at home. They didn't have iPhones back then, but whatever they were listening to, little players, through the TV set, everything. I had to come up with something that was powerful. So when it was finally time to come up with something, my whole entrance was 1, 2, 3, boom, blam. Just big, boom, blam. And I stopped. And I look in the control room sheepishly, and they're all going, 9 of them. Like, you got it. I'm like, whoo, okay. So I start doing some stuff, and I hit a dead end, and I'm like, come on in. And I'm like, uh-oh. And everyone's like, bah, 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 bah. Do this. No, don't do that. Do this. Don't do that. I'm like, my head's spinning, and I start walking out to the drums. I'm going, Kenny, you got 50 feet to save your career. 40. What are you going to play? 30. I have no idea. 20. Dude, this is it. 10. I don't know. 0. I'm at the drum set. I look at the drums. I look at them. I look at the drums. I look at them. And all of a sudden, bam, a light went off. And basically it's this. I took the same idea and just twisted it. It'd be like if you had furniture in your living room and you go, hey, hate this furniture. You got 2 choices. Get rid of it, or maybe move it around and make it look cooler. That's what I did. So I come up with this part, bada bing, bada bang. I come up with this Jack and Diane drum solo, and I didn't think much of it. And all of a sudden, the album comes out with Hurt So Good. Hurt So Good goes to number 2. It just sits there because Ebony and Ivy and Eye of the Tiger were keeping us out. And all of a sudden it goes down to 3, 4, and the record label goes, release Jack and Diane. Jack and Diane goes flying up the charts. It gets into the top 10 with Hurt So Good. Jack and Diane goes up to 1. Hurt So Good doesn't leave. So now we got 2 songs in the top 10. The album won 2 Grammys. John's career completely exploded, and my career got launched. It was like, that's it.
Whenever we hear it, we all still turn up the volume, no matter where we are. You're the master.
Somebody said to me that I went to college with, I hadn't heard from in like 30-something years. She goes, when that solo comes up, I blow the doors off my car.
Yep.
I love it.
Well, you know, Kenny, the thing about that is also having Howard Bloom assist John with everything, which goes in that connection, because I was a disc jockey in that era, and I was playing that loud in Connecticut. Yeah, I was still in Connecticut at Kiss FM back then.
Oh my God!
Get loud, and this is what real rock and roll is. But at the same time, I'm surprised you didn't march with a drum and bugle corps, because I did what you did. I played everything but drum set, but I marched with a drum corps.
But you know why I didn't do drum corps? Because the music department in my little town in Western Mass. You grew up in Connecticut?
Yeah.
Did you say?
Yeah.
Where in Connecticut?
East Lyme, Connecticut, Waterford, Connecticut.
Okay, I know as you're closer. I was more up past Springfield. We hit 90. Anyway, and I was a 3-letterman jock by the time I was a sophomore in high school. So I was playing soccer, lacrosse, and downhill skiing, and it was there was a conflict between the marching band, and I went. It just the music school wasn't that great. So, and I was in a rock and roll band since I was 10 years old. So I'm like, do I want to march or do I want to play Zeppelin? So I didn't do it.
Exactly.
But I wish I had done it. I mean, I wish I had a big program, because that would have built my chops up, in that way. But anyway, yeah. So that's why I didn't do that. Yeah, I know. That's wild. Wow. Yeah. I mean, the thing is. The thing was about growing up back then was like my parents, they came from New York, so everything on the turntable was jazz, classical, or show tunes. So I was listening to all this other stuff before rock and roll. So it's in my DNA to play multiple styles. And so to see, the weird thing about my discography is that somehow it worked out. I'm not, of course I made it as Mellencamp, and then I did, the obvious Bob Seger, Bob Dylan, Elton John, Rod Stewart, all, Melissa Etheridge. But then I'm doing the Smashing Pumpkins tour in 98 with the Adore tour. And then I'm recording with Tony Iommi. Me and Tony Iommi and Glenn Hughes from Deep Purple formed a trio. And then I did Alice Cooper. But then I did Johnny Cash, Willie Nelson, Chris Christopherson, Waylon Jennings from the Highwaymen, and did Waylon's solo record, Willie's solo record. I'm going to go celebrate Jerry Lee Lewis's 85th birthday in a couple of weeks, and I played with him for a year and a half, and I played with Little Richard. But then I've also played with B.B. King, Buddy Guy, Ray Charles. I played with the Boston Symphony Orchestra. I recorded with the Buddy Rich Big Band playing swing, and then I played with the girls, Alanis Morissette, Avril Lavigne, Celine Dion. I mean, it's like I'm all over the map. Now, usually a drummer, it's like, oh, well, he's a rock drummer, he can't do that, and well, he's a country drummer, he can't play rock. Somehow I slipped through the cracks and got hired by these musical directors or producers that said, yeah, Kenny, he could do anything. So if I'm doing rock and they want a little bit of another type of influence, I've got it. I mean, on Blaze of Glory, there's a whole marching part. It's the last verse. You're gonna love this. 4 snare drums, but I sped the tape up. And John's looking at me. I wrote the cadence out. I tripled it, and then I did another part that was all rolls. And the other part is, so I do one with the snare drum, then I speed the tape up, and so it was fast. Then when they slowed it back down, the snare drum was very low. So I had 3 different frequencies of drums, and 3 different snare drums, and I created this whole section. That's all from my orchestral training. That didn't come from playing.
Yeah.
I kind of grew up the same way, Kenny, doing that from classical music, but I learned it all from drum corps. Congratulations on all that. And Sherry, I know you got a couple questions from Canada because she's in Vancouver or British Columbia, or whatever she may be right now. But I know she did a lot of stuff. So, but like I said, that's why you were one of my favorite drummers. You, Neil Peart, and when you were with Bob Seger, that's why I like Bob Seger, because you were playing with him.
Oh man, did you get to see me at Madison Square Garden with Bob? I mean,
no, I was a black ticket scout for Kenny. So I in New Haven in the Hartford Civic Center, and I said, I was in Hartford.
Oh, did you? Oh man, I love that place.
I was scalping tickets then.
It's awesome. Dude, those shows were stupidly unbelievable. That was 1996. He hadn't toured since 86 and sold out every show, arenas. I mean, dude, if you leave the music business for 4 years, you're done. But this guy, no. Oh, man. Bob Seger. Those songs go on forever.
Kenny, our girl Terri here, she seems to be our go-to girl for really good artists that you've seen. Have you seen Kenny in LA at the Troubadour or anything? I'm not sure, Kenny, if you performed there.
Well, I've performed at the Troubadour, I think, once, but I haven't for quite a while. Yeah.
Yeah, well, she's going back to my days when I was, Sunset Strip days, dating myself. But we had Steve Perkins on.
Oh yeah.
Not too long ago, and I actually grew up with him, so we were friends in high school. I grew up in Sherman Oaks, so we had it was funny because we had reminiscing about high school, which was crazy because I didn't talk to him in like all these years. So
wow,
it was pretty neat. Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome. Yeah. Sherman Oaks. I'm in Studio City, so I'm right next door to you, where you grew up.
Yeah, my mom still lives in Sherman Oaks. So I'm in the Valley all the time. So I guess I'm a Valley girl. So there you go.
Nothing wrong with that.
I was going to ask you because I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan. So how was it working with Johnny Cash?
Heavy. Well, when I did the Highwaymen record, I mean, I'm a real talkative guy, but when you're around Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings and Chris Christopherson and those guys, I just zipped it because they're very, very bright. They're very deep, and they're just like the Outlaws. Those are the real country guys. Johnny, totally cool. And his wife was there, Carter.
June?
It was June. Yeah.
June Carter,
Yeah, Carlene was there. I know the whole family. They're very, very kind and warm and open and just totally cool. And I did this. I recorded this band that did really, really well, Trick Pony, and they had Johnny Cash come in to sing "Ring of Fire" on their record. I'm like, I'm in Nashville, and Johnny drives himself there, and he says, "Hey, Kenny," and I'm recording "Ring of Fire" with Johnny Cash on the Trick Pony record. I mean, I just can't believe it. I mean, those guys. I mean, they're the nicest guys, and I'm just. That movie with John, what's it called? Walk the Line?
Walk the Line, yeah.
God. I mean, I just love that story. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And so, Chris Christopherson is still alive. I just texted him the other day. He's in Maui because of the COVID thing. But, I mean, these guys are like, and they know what's real. They know what's going on. I mean, they're the real deals. They're the real deals.
Kenny, I had a question for you from my friend Wes Wilhelm. His grandsons, 9 and 7, they just have, he just gifted them a drum kit. Do you have any suggestions for how they are to begin? And perhaps maybe that ties into a contest that you're offering now, air guitar.
Air
drumming, I'm sorry.
It's all right. Oh yeah, and that contest that my host is from Calgary, Canada. So anyway? The point is, as far as get some lessons from somebody that is a good matchup with the student. How old is the kid? Did he say?
He said the grandsons are 7 and 9.
All right. At this point, you just want them to have fun. nothing but fun. Because look at music. Humans are feeling creatures. Music is all about feeling. So you want to have the kid it just love playing the drums and love playing music. So they have that in their life. It just will open up their hearts and bring love and joy to themselves. And that's what kept me going back. It just felt good. And then the lessons can help, but if you get the wrong teacher, it won't help. You want somebody that knows how to work with kids that keeps the love and joy going until they're going to get real serious, if they ever do, you know.
And you have, I've seen online, you've got a few, lessons with Kenny Aronoff online on YouTube. So, obviously you feel it, you believe it. So maybe that's their first start.
Well, you talk about as a teacher?
Yeah, just as a guide.
Well, no, people can get lessons from me. It's I think if you go on my website, you can contact me because I have a recording studio. People hire me to play drums on their records all the time. I mean, I just did 6 songs on Sunday, and I got like 11 more to do. And so people send me their files, but they can also go online and ask for a drum lesson.
Kenny, do you think you've made it yet?
That's a good. You're being serious, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of how your brain works.
Yeah. No, that's a very, very good question. Okay, I have this line that goes like this: I'll never be as great as I want to be, but I'm willing to spend the rest of my life trying to be as great as I can be. And that's like a running back in football. The running back in football, these bad mofos, they don't get touchdowns every time, but they keep trying their entire career. End zone, end zone, end zone, end zone. So I'm just going after it. During this COVID thing, obviously my studio was always going anyway. But I also, because I'm an inspirational speaker, and there's not a lot of that going on right now because you can't gather. Mm-hmm. So I completely updated my studio with lights and 4K cameras so that I can film live. I can do it live. And I have my Pro Tools and my drum studio is there, so I got my drum sounds, I got a speaking area. I can basically do my entire show live from my studio or film it. Yeah. So I mean that's me constantly trying to get a touchdown. I'm gonna do an audio version of my book. I got another book I wrote that I need to get back to, and taking some courses on more mindfulness. I'm just constantly trying to get touchdowns.
Kenny, talk about your book real quick. We got a couple minutes, and we got to have you back on a part 2.
Yes.
There's so much stuff to do. And Sherry's got this huge following in Canada now, so they have more questions to ask you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, bring me back on. All right, the book, Sex, Drums, and Rock and Roll, it's basically a story about how this little kid came from a town of 3,000 and how he became achieved what I've achieved. And it comes from, being a team player. It comes from hard work, self-discipline, perseverance. It comes from the big nugget comes from me realizing why I am here on earth. What is my purpose in life? And when I speak, that's what I'm trying to help people find, is their purpose in life. When you figure out who you are and why you're here, you'll be unstoppable, you'll be undeniable, and you will be authentic. You will be you, and you will get so much more value out of your life. And bigger than that is the ripple effect of that will affect all the people around you. You will inspire people to do the same. And I try to come at this whole thing, this whole team thing from the term is co-elevation, and that means that I need you to be great because I need you to be great so that we are great together. It's not good enough if I play great on a song. I need everybody to play great, or the song isn't going to be great. I need all of us to be great.
I totally agree with that. That's my thinking. I'm always practicing to get better, but it's never about me. It's always about everybody else that was surrounding. That's important to me.
Exactly. We need each other to be great on a team. And there's one more thing I talk about that's in that book that comes out. I don't talk about it, but it's this thing called CCC. It's the ability to connect with somebody very quickly, to then be able to communicate with them so that you can then collaborate. So think about it. I walk in. I've never met Elton John before. I go, holy shit, that's Elton John. I go up to him. Hi, Elton. Hey, Kenny. And blah, 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 blah. We're talking. Now, 30 minutes, we're making a song that might be on the radio. Well, we couldn't relate playing music if we can't talk. So, all these things, I'm connecting the dots now. All these things that I was just doing naturally. Now I'm looking back, and that's what that book touches on, all of this stuff. Wow, how did he make it? Well, some of the things I just mentioned is kind of the blueprint of why, I persevered and made it. Biggest thing is I followed my heart. I wanted to be a recording, touring, performing drummer, and that's what, makes me feel good.
Kenny, just because you might not have gotten the message, you did make it. All you have to turn around and look at the back occasionally. But I understand your brain because mine works that same way too. I get it.
Yeah. Okay, I got one more heavy tip for everybody. Okay, it's okay to be a hyperachiever. It's okay to be a stickler. It's okay to be, a pleaser. It's okay to be, check and balancing everything. But always, always come from a place of love and joy. Because, see, if you're a hyperachiever and you get pissed off because it didn't go right, that's not going to help you in the big picture. It's not. You can still be a hyperachiever, but go, like, for example, I just did this Neil Peart, a drum solo for Modern Drummer and a talking segment to honor Neil Peart. And it took me, I composed the solo, and one day I got it. And the SD card in my camera was full. And so I had to do it. So here's what I did. Using this application, this is an example where I went, it's okay, Kenny. You'll get it tomorrow. It's going to be even better tomorrow. And you could see that attitude when I did get it. I was smiling. Like my hands and feet are blazing. I'm smiling. My attitude was from such a love and joy and positive place that when I did film it and got it, I was smiling as opposed to go like, oh, I got this. And literally they have proven that you can do 30% better work when you come from a place like that, and you'll accomplish more in the long run. So that's my big message. You can be the hyperachiever, you can be the workaholic, but do it from a place of positive energy. It's like being a surfer you don't know what wave you're going to get, and when you finally get the wave, you have no control on what that wave's going to do. Sometimes it throws you. It's not your fault. It's not the wave's fault. Just get back on the board. Be positive. You'll get a good wave eventually.
All right, Kenny, real quick, give your social media links of how people can reach out to you.
You can reach out to me on Instagram. It's Kenny Aronoff. On Facebook, it's Kenny Aronoff. I'm sorry I can't add you in my personal page. I've got over 1,200 people waiting. I tapped out 8 years ago. I have a fan page and a personal page. Twitter is Aronoff Official. And then LinkedIn is my name, Kenny Aronoff. And then my website is the obvious, www.kennyaronoff.com.
Sherry, please give yours for Kenny.
Sherry Nelson, Facebook and Instagram, Twitter, XOXO, Sherry XO.
Sherry, you guys just email me.
Okay.
Email me. I can't remember that stuff.
His brain works.
I'll write it down.
Okay.
And Terry, give yours, but you guys will email him. Terry gives yours too.
Okay. My website's Terri Marie Official, and then on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, it's Terri Marie Nonstop.
You'll remember that.
Yeah, because I'm nonstop.
You guys email me that stuff.
Okay.
Was that for me or for the audience?
That's
for the audience, but they're going to follow you and vice versa too. So that's
okay.
Cool.
That's good. It's all good.
All right, Kenny, thank you for your time, because we will do a part 2, because I know out of Canada they got a lot more questions to give you. And me, coming from that drum corps world, because that's the reason why I didn't go to music school, because I couldn't read music. I came from my heart. So,
my God, you memorized all that stuff?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I'm very good at doing that. So
wow.
It's a different way, but that's another story.
Stay right there.
Anybody. For anybody like that.
This is what I do. For every session, I write every note out. Wow. And I can sight read that.
Wow.
It took me 30 years, but that's what I do. That's
you.
Yeah, I write everything out. That's why I can do multitask. That's why I can do touring and go to sessions and go there and go there. I just write it out and walk in, bam.
I got to get your book.
All right, you guys, I'm not going to keep you any longer. So cool meeting you guys. You guys are great, man.
Nice meeting you too. Can't wait to have you back.
Oh, yeah.
And for the audience, if you see someone without a smile, give them one of your Kennys, because the world needs it.
That's right. Exactly. All right, you
Thank
guys.
you guys.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one. Bye.